Picture this: a king so powerful, his empire was the first on which the sun never set. A ruler so devout, his every action was guided by his faith. A man so meticulous, he governed a global empire from a desk cluttered with paperwork. This was Philippe II of Spain, the prudent king, a monarch whose reign defined an era and whose legacy still echoes through history. But who was the man behind the crown? Was he a saintly defender of the faith, or a ruthless tyrant obsessed with power? Today, we're peeling back the layers of time to uncover the unyielding reign of Philippe II, Spain's relentless monarch. Join us as we journey back to the 16th century, a world of golden galleons, sprawling empires, and epic conflicts, all revolving around one central figure. Born in 1527, Felipe was the son of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, one of the most powerful men in European history. While his father was a warrior, constantly on the move, Philippe was a scholar, an administrator, a man of letters. He received a top-tier education, becoming fluent in Latin, Portuguese, and Italian, though he famously struggled with French and German. He wasn't the charismatic, outgoing type. Instead, he was reserved, serious, and deeply, deeply religious. This piety would become the cornerstone of his entire life and reign. He saw himself not just as a king, but as the chief defender of the Catholic Church in a time of intense religious turmoil, with the Protestant Reformation tearing Europe apart. When Charles V abdicated in 1556, he split his vast territories. His brother got the Holy Roman Empire, but Philippe inherited a colossal empire: Spain, the Netherlands, parts of Italy, and the sprawling Spanish colonies in the Americas and the Philippines. In fact, the Philippines were named after him. Suddenly, this quiet, studious prince was at the helm of the world's first truly global superpower. His primary residence and the nerve center of this empire wasn't a lavish, opulent palace in a bustling city. Instead, he built El Escorial, a massive, austere monastery palace complex outside Madrid. This building is a perfect reflection of his character: part royal court, part government office, part house of God. It was from his small office here, surrounded by maps and documents, that Felipe would micromanage his vast domains. He was known as the Paper King because he insisted on reading and annotating almost every state document himself. Imagine the paperwork for an empire that spanned the globe. He worked tirelessly, often late into the night, making decisions that would affect millions. One of Felipe's biggest challenges was money. You might think, ruler of a global empire loaded with silver from the Americas. What money problems? But running an empire is expensive. Really expensive. Philippe inherited massive debts from his father and his own ambitions building navies, funding wars, and defending Catholicism drained the treasury faster than the treasure fleets could fill it. Silver from Potosi in modern-day Bolivia poured into Spain, but it often flowed right back out to pay foreign bankers and fund his military campaigns. In fact, despite the immense wealth from the New World, Felipe's government declared bankruptcy multiple times. It's a fascinating paradox. The richest monarch on earth was constantly broke. This economic strain had profound effects on Spain and its people, contributing to long-term financial problems that would plague the country for generations. And then there were the wars. So many wars. Felipe's reign was one of near constant conflict. His chief rival on the European stage was the Ottoman Empire. The Mediterranean was a battleground between Christian and Muslim powers. The climax of this struggle came in 1571 at the Battle of Lepanto. A massive fleet from the Holy League, a coalition of Catholic states spearheaded by Spain, faced the Ottoman navy. It was one of the largest naval battles in history, a brutal clash of galleys and cannons. The Christian forces won a decisive victory, halting Ottoman expansion in the Mediterranean. For Felipe and Catholic Europe, it was a miraculous triumph, seen as a sign of God's favor. Felipe himself called it the most noble occasion that past or present ages have seen. The Dutch provinces were a mix of Calvinist, Protestants, and Catholics, and they cherished their local autonomy. Felipe's attempts to stamp out Protestantism and centralize his control were met with fierce resistance. This sparked the 80 Years' War, a brutal, drawn-out conflict that would drain Spanish resources and manpower for decades. The Dutch rebels, led by figures like William of Orange, proved to be incredibly resilient. Felipe sent his best generals, like the infamous Duke of Alba, whose harsh tactics only fueled the rebellion. This was a war Filippo would never win, and it ultimately led to the birth of an independent Dutch Republic. And of course, we can't talk about Filippo II without mentioning England and Queen Elizabeth I. Their relationship was complicated. Early on, Filippo was actually married to Elizabeth's older sister, Mary I of England, making him King of England and Ireland alongside her. But Mary died, and the Protestant Elizabeth took the throne. For years, they maintained a tense, wary relationship. Felipe saw Elizabeth as a heretic and a supporter of his enemies, particularly the Dutch rebels and English privateers or pirates. Depending on your perspective, like Sir Francis Drake, who relentlessly plundered Spanish ships and colonies. The final straw for Philippe was the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, a Catholic claimant to the English throne. He decided it was time to invade England, depose Elizabeth, and restore Catholicism. This led to the legendary Spanish Armada of 1588. Felipe assembled a massive fleet of around 130 ships, a supposedly invincible force to sail to the English Channel, pick up a Spanish army from the Netherlands, and invade England. It was one of the most ambitious military undertakings of the age, but it ended in disaster. A combination of English naval tactics, which favored smaller, more maneuverable ships with long-range cannons and terrible weather. The famous Protestant wind that battered the Spanish fleet as it tried to sail home around Scotland and Ireland led to the Armada's catastrophic defeat. Less than half the fleet made it back to Spain. It was a humiliating blow to Spanish prestige and a huge morale boost for Protestant England. While it didn't end the war, the defeat of the Armada marked a turning point, signaling the beginning of Spain's slow decline and the rise of England as a major naval power. Beyond the wars and politics, Felipe's personal life was marked by tragedy. He married 4 times, mostly for political reasons, and outlived all his wives. His first wife died after childbirth. His second was Mary I of England. His third, Elizabeth of Valois, he reportedly loved deeply, but she also died young. His fourth wife, Anna of Austria, finally gave him the male heir he desperately needed, the future Philippe III, but she too passed away. His first son and heir, Don Carlos, was mentally unstable and rebellious. The situation got so bad that Philippe had to have him imprisoned, where he died under mysterious circumstances. Can you imagine the personal toll, ruling a world empire while your personal life is just one heartbreak after another? It adds another layer of complexity to this already fascinating figure. He was a king, but he was also a husband and a father who suffered immense personal loss. So, how do we sum up the reign of Felipe II? He presided over Spain's golden age, a period of incredible artistic and literary flourishing, with figures like El Greco and Cervantes. He successfully defended Catholicism against the Ottomans and expanded his empire across the globe. He was a diligent, hard-working ruler who took his duties with the utmost seriousness. But his reign also had a darker side. The Spanish Inquisition reached the height of its power under his rule, persecuting heretics and enforcing religious uniformity with an iron fist. His relentless wars and economic policies drained Spain's wealth and sowed the seeds of its future decline. His obsession with control and his inability to compromise led to the bloody, unwinnable war in the Netherlands. Was he a hero or a villain? The answer, as with most of history's great figures, is that he was neither. He was a man of his time, a product of his beliefs and circumstances. For Catholic Spain, he was Felipe, the prudent, their greatest king, a champion of the faith. For Protestant England and the Netherlands, he was a dark tyrant, a bloody fanatic. His legacy is a complex tapestry of triumph and failure, of golden ages and devastating wars, of unshakable faith and ruthless ambition. His unyielding reign left an indelible mark, not just on Spain, but on the entire world, shaping the course of history for centuries to come. The sun may have eventually set on the Spanish Empire, but the shadow of Philippe II, the paper king in his monastery palace, still looms large. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the life of Philippe II. If you found this journey into the 16th century fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the titans of history. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like us to cover next. Until then, stay curious.